So I hear you talk about psychology, brother. Like most people wouldn't even fathom the thought that psychology has something to do with trading, right? And I could see why that is because, bro, I'm a sore loser. I hate to lose, bro. So I find myself going all in all the time, right? So how do you work on your psychology? Like, what are some things that you do or you advise your students to do to strengthen that part?
So realistically, I focus on, you have to change your mindset, right? And psychology, when it comes to trading, deals a lot with the winning and losing, like you speak, right? So obviously us as humans, naturally, we don't like to lose, right? So once you change your perspective from winning and losing a trade and just probability, and this is something that Mark Douglas talks a lot about, and I teach my students to get themselves aware of Mark Douglas and his videos and his books, because he speaks a lot about this when it comes to psychology and trading, and it's all changing the mindset to a probability, right? What is the probability this specific stock, this specific pair is going to go up at this range? What is the probability it's not, right? This is why we have stop losses, right? Once you change that perspective, you're no longer in the winning and losing mindset. Now you're just, the probability wasn't there. So now you look for the next possible probability, right?
Got
You don't chase that winning.
Right.
So that's one of the things that helped me obviously separate that winning and losing, because I was big on, I hated to lose as well, right? And then also going back to the structure program, right? When you have a set of rules, and we spoke about this, when you lie to yourself, right? You're breaking those promises to nobody else but yourself. So now you're just building in that subconscious, the normality of you doing it again, right?
Got you.
You're normalizing you taking over trading, you over leveraging. You're making it normal. So now in your subconscious, when you lose, and let's say you take the next trade and you win it, now you're going to tell yourself, well, if I lose next time, I can do it again. And maybe I'll win. And then it'll lead you into that spiral of over trading and over leveraging, bro.
I see that. And I've noticed that you're always quick to correct the students when they're like, yo, I'm about to jump in. So I hear you talking about that. So it sounds like you have a plan, right? Like before you enter a trade. So talk about that, man. How do you develop a plan, bro? Because I think a lot of people gamble.
Yes, a lot of people do gamble, right? And it's all about having prior knowledge of your entries and your exits before every trade. So every morning before I get on with my students, I'm generally seeking for those levels of supply and demand. Like I told you, I trade supply and demand and price action depending on where we're sitting at on those higher time frames. Gotcha. So I am already looking for places where I'm going to enter, and if the trade goes against me, where I like to get out. Prior to me even getting on with the students. That's what I think a lot of people lack. People just get on the charts open, 9:30, volatility kicks in. Let's say you get that one big FU candle is what I like to call it, where it just shoots up 50 pips in the air. And then next thing you know, people press buy, right? Little did they know that might have been just a push to tap into a level of supply, so then sell off. Next thing you know, they catch themselves on a very big,
they're being
fake out. The fake out manipulation, what I like to call it. So always have an entry plan and an exit plan prior to even entering the markets.
Got you. So a plan is super important is what you're saying.
100%.
How do you develop a plan, bro? Because with all the information that's out there, how would you advise somebody to develop a plan? Or would you say, hey, see what everybody else is doing? And kind of
no. And I advise this to my students because, and the beauty of trading is, right, let's say we're in a bullish sentiment where I'm essentially looking for buys, right? You might be looking for the buys to a specific supply point to take that sell. So it's all about perspective. And this actually happened 2 months ago. The beautiful thing happened with one of my students that I spoke about before. And I was able to capitalize off a buy that same day, and he was able to capitalize off the sell the same day, all because we had a different plan and a different vision. Everybody's not going to look at the charts the same way. That's what I try to tell my students. Yes, you can implement the same strategy and the same plan, right? Overall supply and demand and price action, right? That's all you really need. But you might be seeing a pattern on the charts, right? Kind of, and we spoke about this where your trading plan, it was more like, you saw it happening on a daily basis. I didn't see it. You saw it.
Right.
So it's the same thing that I try to teach the students. It's like you might see something, right? As long as you're following your risk management and you're not over trading and you're waiting for that entry signal that I teach, right? Then you're following your rules. And as long as you're doing that, you'll be okay. It's all a probability. So remember, we might have different probabilities within the same chart setup.
The same thing. But how do you develop a plan, bro? Like, do you like recommend somebody sit in front of the charts for a certain amount of time? Or like, how would you say like they start to develop their own?
First things first, obviously, seek mentorship, like I said, right? Then after that, you want to back test of some sort, right? You want to take the strategy that you're learning and implement them in the charts, right? You don't just want to go based off crazy YouTubes or whatever.
Right.
Whoever's teaching you how to trade, take that strategy and try to visualize it for yourself in the charts. Don't just focus on solely copying him. No, try to visualize it for yourself. Take that time and put that time in. People think they just see the progress, right? They just see the things you buy now, the freedom of time, but they don't see the endless nights of sleep that you put into those charts, the losses you took on the back end, right before you became profitable. And it's all based off that structured program. Bro, everything's got to click. If it doesn't, if you don't have the discipline, you don't have the psychology, you don't have the strategy, it's not going to work out, you know?
So tell me about that, because you mentioned some emotions there, bro. And it almost seems like a roller coaster and shit. So talk to me about the emotions that people go through when they dealing with this. You see what I'm saying?
There's a lot. I mean, there's fear, there's greed, there's FOMO, right? Fear of the missing out, bro. You deal with with self-doubt, which is one of the biggest things when it comes to psychology, right? You know you have an entry plan. You see the entry set up, right? And then you don't execute. Execution is very important, just as much as it is for the structure program to follow all your rules, just as much as execution is important, right? If you don't execute, next thing you know, the trade goes your way exactly how you expected it to.
You ain't even take it.
And now your psychology is messing up. You know, you're fucking with your psychology at the end of the day. That's really what you're doing. So I've told this to the students live. I'd rather execute if I get my entry plan, right? And take a loss than not execute and watch the trade go my way in front of my face.
I see that. And to most people, that's hard to grasp. Like, what do you mean take it? And even though it lose, me be okay with it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, because like I spoke about, it's all a probability. So now I've gotten to the point in trading, bro, and that I no longer look at the numbers, right? So I think a lot of people, and this happens to a lot of new students, right? They tend to focus on the dollar amount, right? I tell them all the time, focus on the skill set, then the money will come, right? So now I'm at the point where it's like, I can be up, let's say $2,000 on a trade. But if I was risking, let's say 1,500, it makes no sense for me to take that or go break even. I need to see at least certain rules, certain steps, right? Whether that being a 1 to 2, right? Or a pullback for then a continuation of break of structure for then me to place that trade at break even. And now it's a risk-free trade. And then when I see a minimum of 3 times the amount, that's when I start taking profit. A lot of people get excited when they see themselves, especially up a dollar amount in such a small period of time.
That
but
makes
you're
sense.
you're unconsciously building bad habits. Because I remember myself, I've caught myself when I was learning to trade multiple times, being in a trade 10 seconds, and I was so over leveraged that I'd take $500. In 10 seconds, I'm up $500, I'm done for the day, but guess what? When the next day, I would watch it go to stops. I was up only 10 pips on that $500, but my stop loss the next day was 20. So now how can you become profitable trading like that?
Right. And I can see, like, if you're looking at the dollar amount, that goes for the winning and the losing side too, because you could start losing. Like in my case, I would start losing and then the psychology would kick in, bro. Like, nah, I can't keep going down. It's got to turn around. So, bro, I would see that red go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, yo, I know I'm making a mistake here, but I couldn't pinpoint it. So like, what are some mistakes that people do when they're trading? Say they're live in a trade. Like, what are some of the mistakes that they might do?
One of them, over leveraging.
What do you mean by that?
Risking way too much that you can handle to lose.
Mm.
So automatically your heart starts beating a bit too fast, right? So that's one of the mistakes. It's just simply over leveraging. You're taking on too much risk, and if the trade doesn't work out, now you're going to lead into bad habits of over trading and trying to chase that trade back, right? One of the one advice that I tell my students all the time is to change their settings, right, from a dollar amount. And you've seen me do this with multiple firms and brokers, live brokers, from a dollar amount to a pip amount. Because now, right, let's say you entering off a level of supply, you got a 20-point stop loss, and then you're targeting 100 points, right, on this trade. If you're up 10 points, you don't know the dollar amount you're up. You just know you're up 10 points, but you know you're risking 20. So it makes no sense for you to take money at that.
Right.
So it's all about the psychology. You have to help yourself structure your mind so that you're not focused on the dollar amount.
See, so that's like a way to use tools to strengthen your psychology.
Exactly.
I get that, bro. So like, it sounds like people get greedy.
100%.
It sounds like people get greedy, man. And I could see why, because I myself have been in positions where I'm super up, $10,000, and now I think I know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm the man. I'm telling people to take, and in all reality, the next day I lose it all plus 2,000 more.
Plus 2,000 more. So that happens, right, with the greed.
How do you get over that, bro? You got to talk about that, because that's
so, bro. And it's funny because we keep coming back to the same thing, and it's my structured program. Like my structured program will build you a rule book that you must follow, right? And it has happened multiple times. I've dealt with students and I've seen their process, bro, and I've seen them grow as traders, and it hurts me because at the end of the day, I develop, relationship with these students. So it hurts when you take in 10 steps forward and 15 steps back because you go on a win streak. So when you go on a win streak, now you're up your account 10 grand. So now all of a sudden you feel on top of the world, right? So the next trade, you hit that all-in button, but you're not following your structure. If your structure program tells you to risk 5%, you cannot be mad at nobody but yourself, So all you have to do is construct yourself to become a better trader. And that's why I tell people journaling is so important, bro.
That's hard, bro. Like I've never heard nobody mention that they pretty much put together a rule book for the trader. Like I never heard of it. I don't even have one myself. Now I do, but I could see how having a certain like checklist or something. Okay, it meets this criteria, and you have to check everything off before you even enter the trade.
Before you even enter the trade.
That's super. That's dope, bro. Not too many people doing that.
And then when you're in the trade as well, there's more checkoffs, right? So this is where you implement that greed comes in, right? Or sometimes people feel as the stock or the foreign exchange is going in their way, right? They start feeling scared that it'll go against them. And when it's going against them, they feel hope that it will go in their way, right? So you have to implement, bro, a program so that when things happening, you have a rule plan that you're following. I can't go break even because this is not met yet. My 1 to 2 has not been met yet. I can't go break even because there has not been a pullback and a break of structure for a continuation. For markets not showing me nothing yet for me to just go risk free. So has to be some structures, bro, when you're trading. And that's the hardest part people don't understand.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Let me ask you this, man, because, I've never had a demo account myself, right? Would you say for a beginner that they should have a demo account and then maybe slide into a funded account or use their own money? Like, how would you tell them to do it?
So this is actually a funny topic because I get this question a lot, and I'm super there's a balance for demo accounts, right? So you can have a demo account when you're back testing, right? When you're learning to implement the strategy I'm teaching you, right? And making sure that it works. There's no problem with you using the demo account for that. But the sooner you can get into a live account, the more you're going to be able to construct yourself as a trader. Because the problem with demos is that you are leaving all emotions behind. And that's the hardest part when it comes to trading, is your psychology, right?
Dealing with the emotions.
And dealing with your emotions. So it's like some people, they'll do exceptionally good on demo accounts, and then the first week of live trading, they'll blow their whole bag. But it's because they've left all the emotions and the important parts of trading behind.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro, because emotions, like, you wouldn't think that emotions play so big of a role when it comes to trading, both even in a demo, because like you said, it's almost like you have to eliminate the emotions during real live trading, but maybe have them during demo trading.
Let me give you an example, right? On a demo account, let's say you see yourself down $50,000 off a $250,000 demo account you just deposited, right? Next thing you know, it's easy to become profitable off demo because you see yourself down an amount that's not realistic. The money's not real. It's not. So you have no emotions attached to it. Next thing you know, you wait till the next day, you're up 20 grand. So you take that 20 grand. Damn, I just made 20 grand. But now you change that into a live account. How would your emotions affect the fact that you were down $50,000? You think you would have closed? Do you think you would have held that trade? Right. So that's the beauty behind the faster you get into a live account, that actual faster you'll be able to construct yourself as a trader and grow.
That makes sense, man. I dipped right into the live account. I ain't really messed with the demo for that reason. I remember you telling me like, yo, you could go ahead and try the demo, but you ain't getting the real experience, right? So I can see how that could work. So like, are there any other tools or platforms that you would recommend for like a beginner when they're getting started?
When they're getting started, I mean, TradingView is the number one, platform I've been using forever to analyze my charts, right? And then as far as tools, keep it simple: rectangle, horizontal lines, horizontal rays. Keep them simple. Mark out your levels, your zones. And then obviously the long and short positions when you're back testing. You always want to know where you're entering a trade and where you would exit and place your stop loss. So, and then there's obviously firms out there you can utilize and live brokers. But as far as when you're beginning, TradingView, it's all you need, bro, and just those simple tools to get started, bro.
Got you. What style trader would you say you are?
So I'm a day trader.
What's that mean?
I like to pretty much, it's when you enter and exit a trade within the same trading day, right? So a swing trader will be somebody who holds for maybe multiple sessions, multiple days, multiple weeks, even multiple months, right? And then a scalper is somebody who's usually in and out on really small time frames. So maybe a day trader can hold the trade for multiple hours, right? But essentially they're closing out their trade before that trading day finishes.
Gotcha. So you're a day trader. Okay, so what do you think about people that hold long term, and like, what do you do like for yourself, right? Do you hold long term investments? Do you only day trade? Like, how do you diversify that?
So I like to have a portfolio, and I diversify. I like to dabble on certain things. Just recently, I stopped messing with like penny stocks, but I do have crypto in my portfolio. I do have long term investments, and I do have a Roth IRA. I have a high yield account. So I dabble here and there, bro, on everything. But day trading is what pretty much brings all my money. Because at the end of the day, when you're investing, you got to understand this is long term, right? So you might be up a dollar amount one day. The next day, you might be down a dollar amount. The next day, next year, you might be up a dollar amount. Next year, you might be down a dollar amount. So I like to capitalize day in, day out in between these fluctuations of prices. But at the same time, always like to have something on the safer side for the long term.
How would you choose something to go in long term? Like, is there certain things you look for?
Yes, I always look for longevity, bro. Something that gives me a return and has shown me time and time that it grows, right? And now, no stock, no external trading fund, nothing is perfect, right? As long as you're maintaining it and keeping your eyes on it, then you'll be good. You're knowing when to buy more, and you're knowing when to let off the gas. You always have to be implement news, right? When you're holding these long terms, because now certain companies could be going into bankruptcy. Certain companies, you have to always be aware of these things so that you can You can cash out of them when you
I
have a
see.
chance.
I see. So you be analyzing it.
You
right?
have to analyze
So
it.
you even stay with your technical analysis, right? Like you analyze it as it goes, even on your long term.
Correct. Technical
Gotcha.
is very important for me, and so is the fundamental side. So that fundamental side is kind of where the news come in, right? So I'm always on top of news, right? Especially when it comes to my long-term investments. Every Sunday we'll look at Forest Factory for the potential news throughout the week, so that we can be aware of when not to be inside of a trade. But for long-term investments, it's always important for you to be looking out for reports on companies and just overall growth. You want to see growth in whatever you're investing, you know?
Got you, bro. Sounds like you know what the fuck you're doing, bro. But one thing that I know about you is that you possess something that a lot of people don't have, and that's discipline, right? Discipline is key for many reasons, bro. Like, what do you do to stay disciplined?
So, realistically, the easiest way to maintain discipline is to implement discipline outside of the charts. Because I know you're trying to ask about the charts, right? And that comes down to everything. What do you watch, right? What do you do on your free time? What do you eat? Are you screen sucking, you know?
Right.
Like, are you constantly on your phone just scrolling, right? Or are you reading? Are you practicing jujitsu, Muay Thai? Are you practicing physical activities, going to the gym? All these things and these habits that you're building outside, people think that it doesn't matter, but it matters 100%. That is the whole entire structure for your trading psychology. Once you build discipline outside, you know who the fuck you are. You know what the fuck you want. And so it's going to reflect on the charts. You're not going to let yourself overtrade. You're not going to let yourself over leverage. So
it's key. I see that is truly key, man. And a lot of people won't take that into consideration, man. Would you say that their environment matters as far as like who they hang out with?
100%. They say, I mean, you're the sixth person of every five people you hang out with, right?
Okay.
And I believe in that. And I'm actually one of those people who's had to audit my circle because of that same thing, right? I constantly caught myself hanging out with guys who, yo, let's go to the club. Yo, let's go to the strip club. Yo, let's go here. Let's go there. Let's blow this money, right? But at the end of the day, I'm trying to build something, and I'm trying to build it for the long term now. So there's certain people I had to audit out my life, and I still love y'all. You know what I mean? But there's places I need to get to.
You got
to
go at that weight. 100%, man. I agree with that, bro. And I know you personally, right? And I know where you come from. You know, we've done some things that we don't do no more.
100%.
But you need to let them know who you are, bro, because it's one thing to hear you talking all these words that, yo, you're a whole different other person when you talk about that, right? You got to let them know who you were and how did you become the person you are today. Because you ain't no squeaky clean motherfucker.
No, hell no. 100% not. 100% not.
So let me ask you, how did you slide into trading? What was the factor, bro, that got you into it?
So it was realistically a getaway. A lot of people, and especially the students that know me now, right, or that met me now through social media, they don't, and I show it a lot of the times. You know, you see my mugshots and whatnot. But I definitely was living a life of crime, and not because of my parents weren't, you know, bad people, individuals. It's just a life I chose. I always hung out with the older crew, always looking for fast money. So trading was kind of my escape of, at the time I was dealing with a lot of problems with the law, and the whole circle I was with was as well. So thankfully I had my daughters, and that was a big change. Big shout out to my daughters and my wife and God, of course. And it led me to steer all my focus onto trading. And it's kind of hard to speak about it because on that street life, I was making, bro, 30 to 50, 60 grand a month. Easy, right? So I had to transition all that, give all of that up, right? To now start losing money in the markets, right? Or start breaking even. Because now this is when everything was just structuring, right? I've been trading for 9 years this August. but I was in the midst of losing so much money because I was making so much money at the time that I could risk more, but I wasn't focusing on the skill set. I was just like, well, I'll make this $5,000 back next week. Let me just throw it here. And if I lose it, I don't care. Right. It wasn't until I had my daughters and I started focusing. I said, you know what? I need to give up this lifestyle if I want to do better for them. I don't want to end up dead or in jail. Everybody now that was in my circle is either doing life or rest in peace, they're dead, you know? So it's like, I didn't want to be that for my daughters, you know? I wanted to always be there. And I wanted to find something that I knew was the freedom of time and location to be able to take them wherever they wanted and be wherever they wanted without having to worry about finances. And trading was that way out for me, bro.
Let me ask you this, bro, right? Most people don't grow up like that, right? We know because we've done some things. What are some things that life and your new life have in common? Some things that you've learned in that life that aid you in your new one. You feel me? So what from the illegal shit that you did help or still helps you now in your journey in trading, bro?
Wow, that's a good question. So something that helps me still to this day, and I think it's really just the wisdom, bro. Because, you know, when you grow up, bro, especially in that street life, you gain wisdom like this, right? The lack of trust you build for others, and trading is a self sport, bro. Right. It's you versus you. A lot of people don't get that. So the wisdom I've been able to gain, bro, and I still utilize till this day. And it's led me to continue to stay away from certain paths that I know. And temptation is real, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you make here. You're always seeking more, right? But it's just the overall, I see the growth I took. Right? From where I was to and not only I see it, my family sees it, my friends see it, right? My wife sees it. So that growth is just what keeps me pushing the wisdom that I gained from that street life, bro. Like there was a lot of things that went wrong and that could have went wrong, but didn't. And I think, like you said before, bro, everything has a plan and everything happens for a reason. So that was kind of just my reason, bro. And that wisdom I bring along throughout this whole journey, and I'm going to continue to bring it forward and push it forward to my kids and push it forward to their kids if I can.
Well, I got to tell you, bro, like you mentioned a lot of people that watch you, your family, your wife, your daughters. There's people that watch you and that you don't even know about. You see what I'm saying? That's why I think, I think you should maybe tell them a little something from back in that day that might relate to them more. Like, did you party a lot? Did you drink? Did you do drugs?
I did it. I did all of it, bro. I mean,
like, what's one of your worst experience? Let's say when you was fucking with drugs.
I was fucking with drugs.
Give me one of the worst experiences you had on drugs, bro.
Wow. There's a lot, bro.
Because there's motherfuckers that's doing it right now. And they watching.
There's a lot. I had a big problem with the perks, with the pills, right? The pills were big, and the drinking, obviously. And then dabbling into the snow and everything. Just being in the street life, overall partying, you get hooked on all that. But I had various experiences that, bro, I would wake up and see my life and where I'm headed, right? And like this came back to the circle of friends I was with too. I always hung out with older crowds. So I'm like, if I continue down this path, this is exactly where I'm gonna end up, or worse, right?
Gotcha.
So, but I've had multiple experiences, bro, from wanting. I was so bad on the pills at one point, bro, that when I took the chance to take it cold turkey, I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna stop it. I promise you, on my daughters, bro, I was at the hospital probably every other day from anxiety attacks. I never had an anxiety attack in my life, bro. And because of all the pills I was taking, when I stopped them cold turkey, everything just felt like I was dying. I would end up I remember one time, and this is how strong your mind is, right? I remember one time, I was sitting on top of my car talking to a girlfriend of mine back in the day, and I fell straight on my face. This was me after like
you
9
passed out or
months. I
something?
passed out 9 months of consistently taking perks and Xans and drinking. And I had stopped it for like 3 days straight. And on that third day, I guess from the lack of, all the drugs that I was taking, bro, I fell straight on my face. And thank God she was on the phone with me.
No way.
Because she booked to my house.
So you weren't even on nothing.
I wasn't even on nothing. And it just, boom, happened, bro.
Wow.
But broke my face, everything. When I ended up getting to the hospital, right? And because she took me, right? She pulled up, took me. When they did a test on me, bro, all the pills I thought I was taking were obviously from the street. So I ended up having like 6, 7 different drugs in my systems at the time, only 3 of them that I was aware that I was continuously taking. So that was, and then the doctor told me, he's like, I don't know how you didn't die with these combinations in this. And that was kind of just like, I just woke up, bro. Like, yo, what the fuck am I doing, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Something's got to change. And of course, it was still a roller coaster, bro. Like, it's very hard balancing all that. But, bro, it's just the discipline, the consistency, though. You have to want it. Nobody else is going to get it for you. It's got to be you have to want the change. If you don't want that change, bro, nobody's going to get it for you. And if you need the help, seek the help, bro. Like, but the first, don't be in denial. You got to acknowledge you have a problem, and that was me.
What would be some of the things that would, like, because we all go through it. I myself had a issue with the yayo and shit. What would be some of the things that would try to pull you back? You see what I'm saying? Like, say you got somebody out there right now that they want to get into what you're doing. They watching you, right? But they're still in that old life like how you were, right? And they keep getting that pull back into it.
And that happened continuously. And it was through the circle of friends, right? And my own self. Like one day, let's say I took a big L, right? I'm trying to focus on the trading shit. Like I told you, I was making big amounts on the streets. So let's say 1 month I lost 15 grand. I'm like, okay, well, now I know I can make it back here. Right. So everything was trying to push me back into that lifestyle, right? Or it would be like, yo, I'm doing good. I'm 2 weeks clean. I want to continue this. I want to keep growing. And then I get a phone call. Boom. Yo, bro, we're going to this party. Blah, blah, blah. We got the Dulce. We got the Yay. We got the this. We got the Yerks. We got the pills. We got it all. You just got to show up, you know? And you know how many battles I had to fight? And I'm not going to lie, bro. There was a lot of times where
you go in.
I'd go in, you know, and then it backtrack me. But then it always was to a point where I woke up the next day and was like, what the fuck am I doing?
The shame.
You know? The shame, you know, it was like you want change, but you're not willing to change, right? So that's where we go back to the auditing. And then I started auditing everybody. And you don't got to be cruel, bro. My brother, I still love all my past friends, you know? It's just you got to know that we have nothing in common. I can't gain anything from you. If anything, I'm hurting myself. So if you want that change, you have to go this way, you know.
So
what
do you say to the people, especially the people, because same thing here. Like you get those people be like, "Come on, man, you changed, bro. You ain't the same Marv I knew." What do you tell those people?
I'm happy I changed, you know,
straight up.
And you gotta embrace change, bro. You gotta want change. I mean, I don't know how many times you guys have felt, yo, it's been 2 years. I'm doing the same shit. And I seen this when I used to go visit a lot back home. You know, I used to go back to New York or the block, and I see niggas on the same block doing the same thing, selling the same thing, bro. There's no change. There's no inspiration in the air, bro. So it's like you gotta want it for yourself to be different, bro. Like, ain't nobody gonna make it happen for you, bro. Like, it's gotta be from you, internally, from your soul.
I keep hearing you going back to the circle, man. So you say that's one of the most important things is the people that you surround
yourself with. Of course, bro, 100%. I mean, you are the sixth person you surround, the six, five, out of the 5 people you surround yourself, you're always going to be the 6th. So if you're hanging around with 5 millionaires, guess what? You're going to be the 6th. You're hanging around with 5 bums or druggies, you're going to be the 6th. It's just bound to happen. And some people, I talk to people that tell me, no, well, man, I'm strong-minded and strong-willed, you know? I can hang around with losers and be the only winner, but you gotta you gotta stop lying to yourself.
You want to be the winner amongst losers
You know what
and
I'm
shit?
saying? You gotta stop lying to
Straight
yourself.
up.
And that actually brings me back to one of the best advices that I've gotten, bro, in my life. And it was you wanna be comfortable being the big guy in other people's circle, but you have to be the smallest in other people's circle.
Straight
you
up.
know, and that's one of the best advices I've ever gotten in my life, bro.
Straight up, bro. And so, like, look, so you got these people that they're surrounded by a bunch of fucking idiots, right? They want to break away, but they don't know nobody that's doing it. How do they get into those environments where they're now the little guy in the big circle?
You gotta seek the help, bro, elsewhere. You gotta seek mentorship first. Mentorship is very important, bro. You gotta seek somebody that's already got and then you gotta not be scared to go find new connections, right? Maybe step outside the comfort zone. A lot of people like to stay in the comfort zone. Oh, step outside that comfort zone, right? Maybe you got an event that you want to go to, right? And it's calling you for it. And it's an event for entrepreneurs, right? But none of your friends are entrepreneurs, but you want to be it. You feel it in your heart. You want to be it. You have to go to that event, bro. I don't care about the fear. You have to get over those emotions and just stick through it. And then next thing you know, the doors will start opening for you, bro. Then you'll start building a new circle of friends. But you have to audit your friends. If they're not implementing anything positive into your life, if you can't gain knowledge from them or they can't teach you anything, bro, or it's all negativity, then you have to cut them off, bro. And it's like I said, it's not about not loving them anymore. It's just about simply taking a step back. You feel me? Taking a step back, bro. When they call you, they'll get the chant. They'll get the gif, bro. Yo, bro, no, I can't, bro. I got dreams to chase.
Right.
I can't, bro. I got dreams to chase. I can't, bro. I got dreams to chase. The fifth time, guess what? They ain't gonna call you no more. Because you chasing your dreams, you got to make them a reality, bro.
Straight up, man. So let me ask you this on a final note, right? What would you tell somebody? Matter of fact, what would you tell yourself from 10 years ago? Because you said you've been trading 9 years. That's a long time for anybody to be doing anything, right? That's consistent. What would you tell yourself 10 to 15 years ago?
Bro, I would have told myself to go all in a lot sooner. That's really...
What's all into you, man? What's that mean?
All in. Like the moment I decided to leave my life behind that I was living and go all in on trading and suffer for the first 2 years straight losing money, you know, to then overcome that and become the profitable trader I am today. Right. If I can go back and not have that lifestyle at all and not being able to just do all the knucklehead shit I did, bro, that's what I would tell myself. Start now. Give it your all now, because when we're young, bro, that's when we have all the drive in us, right? And then so many of us focus our energy on things that we're not supposed to be focusing on energy. You know, we chase women, we chase endorphins, but we chase dopamine through drugs. We chase all of that, right? So it's like we're focusing our energy on so many things that it's in our youth, bro. Like if we just direct that somewhere else, shift that energy somewhere else, bro. Imagine where and I'm grateful that where I'm at today. I can't imagine where I'll be in 10 years, right?
Hold on, man, because I ain't even asked you. You gotta let them know how old you are, bro.
28 years old.
Young as a motherfucker. So you're talking about 28 years old, full-time trader, right?
Full-time trader.
Teaching others now how to do it.
Correct.
Taking care of your family. And being an inspiration, my brother. I love it. Yo.
Thank you for having me on the show, my bro.
Thank you for all the gems, man. I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact, people are going to benefit from everything you said, brother, if they take it to heart and do exactly what you said.
I hope so. I spoke to a lot of people out there, bro.
Let's get it.